Fuck you looking at, fat boy? That ain't a cat.
Instead of the $100 I owe you, I'll give you 200.
You really gonna give it to me?
Yes.
The film starts at a high school where a group of bullies, led by Miles, picks on students they see as weak. Their main target is Jimmy Mulligan, a kind and quiet boy who never fights back. His two best friends, Andy and Bobby, are also called losers. Over time, Miles's nonstop bullying wears Jimmy down, slowly breaking his spirit and pushing him to the edge. Jimmy's mom could tell something was bothering him.
Is everything all right?
But he wouldn't talk about what was happening after school. He began avoiding his friends and said no to every invitation to hang out, scared he might run into Miles the bully who lived nearby. But even staying away didn't keep him safe. One morning on his way to school, Jimmy suddenly ran into Miles and his gang.
You know, the $100 preventing me and my boy here from fucking you up?
Miles demanded $100 money Jimmy didn't have. When Jimmy tried to explain, things only got more tense. Miles kept getting more aggressive, demanding the $100 from Jimmy over and over and warning him to stay quiet. But just as things were about to get out of control, Miles suddenly backed off. He saw Vinny watching from a distance. Vinny was known for being tough, brave, and respected. He didn't tolerate bullying, and his calm but strong presence was enough to make even the worst bullies think twice. Miles didn't just bully Jimmy, he also picked on Bobby, making fun of his slightly feminine style. After being embarrassed in front of the whole class, Bobby felt terrible. Jimmy tried to cheer him up and promised they wouldn't let the bullies win. To lift their mood, he invited Bobby and Andy to lunch in the cafeteria and insisted on paying. When Jimmy started eating a bigger meal than usual with excitement, both friends were surprised to see this more confident side of him. Andy and Bobby never made fun of Jimmy for how much he ate. They supported him and even introduced him to Adrienne, a classmate who often glanced shyly at Jimmy during lunch. Just as things were starting to feel normal again, Miles showed up. He sat next to Jimmy and demanded the $100 he said Jimmy owed him.
I was wondering if I could get that $100 you owe me.
I'm not giving you anything.
His bullying got louder and more aggressive until another student finally told him to stop. But instead of backing off, Miles lost his temper, yelling insults and attacking the student with harsh words.
If you don't shut your fucking mouth.
Then another student bigger and stronger than Miles stepped in, deciding it was time to stop the bullying. Miles instantly lost his confidence and quickly left the cafeteria. But the trouble wasn't over. After school, Miles confronted Jimmy again, still demanding the money.
I said I need my money.
I don't owe you anything. I don't have your money.
His refusal made Miles furious, and he suddenly snapped, attacking Jimmy right there on the sidewalk. Just as Miles was about to finish the beating, an elderly man suddenly showed up and threatened to call the police.
What the fuck did you say, you little punk-ass motherfucker?
Miles ran off.
You okay, kid?
Yes, sir.
The man introduced himself as Mr. Action and took Jimmy home to help treat his wounds. While there, Jimmy saw a photo of a boxer on the wall and was surprised to learn that Mr. Action used to be a national boxing champion. Inspired and determined to fight back against Miles, Jimmy begged Mr. Action to train him. Though too old to coach himself, Mr. Action agreed to help and promised to contact some friends who could train Jimmy. After taking Jimmy home, Mr. Action explained everything to his parents, who were shocked to see their son with a black eye. He told them what had happened and suggested signing Jimmy up for a self-defense class. At first, they weren't sure and asked for some time to think about it. But just a few days later, Mr. Action opened his door to find Jimmy standing there again, this time with bruises on both eyes. Realizing how serious things had become, his parents no longer hesitated. Thankful for Mr. Action's help, they agreed to let Jimmy learn boxing and personally took him to Manny's Boxing Training Center, a gym run by Mr. Action's close friend, so Jimmy could start proper training. Mr. Action asked his friend Manny to train Jimmy. After a quick look and a short explanation, Manny understood what Jimmy was going through. The bruises said a lot, but it was the determination in Jimmy's eyes that truly convinced Manny to help on one condition. Jimmy had to stay committed and never give up. Under Manny's tough training, Jimmy worked hard and slowly improved, while Mr. Action kept a close eye on his progress. During one session, Jimmy told Mr. Action how Miles kept demanding the $100. Hearing this made Mr. Action even more determined to help Jimmy become strong enough to handle anything. Mr. Action quickly came up with a plan. Instead of avoiding Miles, Jimmy would promise to pay him $200, but in 1 month. Mr. Action believed that, with intense training during that time, Jimmy would be strong enough to stand up to Miles and wouldn't need to pay at all. The next day, when Miles showed up asking for the money, Jimmy calmly said he had a part-time job and would get paid in a month. He offered to give Miles double if he waited. Annoyed by the delay, Miles still agreed and walked away for now. For the first time in weeks, Jimmy got a break from Miles's constant pressure. But during boxing practice that afternoon, he seemed tired, moving slowly and without his usual energy. Jimmy said it was just physical exhaustion, but Manny, with his years of coaching experience, knew better. He could tell something was wrong emotionally. Worried about the change, Manny gently asked Jimmy about it, saying he was concerned and felt like Jimmy had lost his motivation to keep training. On the way home, Mr. Action noticed Jimmy looked sad and gently asked what was wrong. Jimmy finally opened up and shared his frustration. He felt like all the training was useless. Even though he was trying his best, he still thought he was too weak to stand up to Miles or protect himself. Hearing Jimmy's disappointment, Mr. Action comforted him. He reminded Jimmy that no effort is ever wasted and that the lessons from hard work would stay with him, no matter what happened. When Jimmy got home, his father saw that he didn't look well and seemed tired. Though worried, he didn't pressure Jimmy to talk. Instead, he quietly hoped that one day Jimmy would be strong enough to teach his own children how to protect themselves so they wouldn't have to live in fear like he did. Those words inspired Jimmy. Thinking about them, he realized he needed to try harder and push himself more. From that moment, he trained with new focus and determination. The next day, Miles and his gang returned to bothering Jimmy and his friends. This time, they went further and physically attacked Bobby in front of many students. Jimmy quickly found Bobby sitting alone, crying, and tried to comfort him. Bobby felt helpless and hopeless, believing that no one, not even the teachers, could stop Miles and his gang. But Jimmy wasn't ready to give up. He had a plan and was determined to stand up and stop the bullying once and for all. Driven by determination, Jimmy rushed home, jumped on his bike, and rode all the way to Manny's gym, a trip he usually avoided because it was far and he often got a ride from Mr. Action. Jimmy's sudden energy made Mr. Action smile. In his excitement, Jimmy accidentally bumped into Manny and fell. But Manny wasn't angry. He smiled, seeing the strong spirit in Jimmy's eyes. From that day on, Jimmy trained with full focus and passion. Seeing his fast progress, Manny made the workouts harder and added mixed martial arts to help Jimmy become a stronger, more skilled fighter. While Manny helped Jimmy get stronger physically, Mr. Action worked on building his spirit by giving constant support and good advice. At school, Jimmy told Andy about his boxing training and his plan to stand up to Miles and stop the bullying. Around the same time, Adrienne started talking to Jimmy. They quickly became friends and planned to meet after school. They went to a party at a friend's house, where honest and heartfelt talks showed a strong connection and natural chemistry between them. In that warm and real moment, a new romance quietly began. As Jimmy started feeling happy with Adrienne, Eddie, one of Miles's closest friends, began teasing and insulting them. But this time, Jimmy didn't back down. With new confidence, he stood firm and Eddie gave up. Time passed, and the day of Jimmy's big showdown with Miles finally came. He was no longer the shy, bullied kid he used to be. Now he was ready and determined to stop the threats and bullying that had troubled him for so long. That morning, Jimmy woke up feeling calm and confident. When he got to school, Miles confronted him, warning that if Jimmy backed out or ran away, his friends would suffer. Feeling the pressure, Jimmy went to the bathroom to calm down. There, he unexpectedly met Vinny, who already knew about the trouble with Miles. Knowing Jimmy had been training at Manny's gym, Vinny gave him some encouraging words and wished him luck. What neither of them realized was that Eddie was hiding in a nearby stall, listening to everything. As soon as they left, Eddie ran off to tell Miles what he had heard. Following Miles's orders, Eddie contacted Billy Glassjaw, a known troublemaker, and arranged for him to challenge Jimmy at school. News about the upcoming fight between Jimmy and Miles spread quickly, drawing attention from students and teachers who wanted to see who would win. When Jimmy faced Miles and his gang, he showed a new confidence, and Miles could tell Jimmy was no longer afraid. Surprised by the change, Miles quickly made a new plan, used Glassjaw to defeat Jimmy quickly and brutally. Before the plan could happen, Vinny stepped in. He and his crew took Glassjaw away so Miles would have to fight Jimmy fairly. When the fight started, Jimmy struggled at first, taking hard and non-stop hits from Miles. But giving up was never an option. Slowly, Jimmy began to fight back, landing strong punches of his own. Even after a heavy blow to his face, he didn't flinch. He stood firm, no longer the weak, shy kid he once was. With strong determination, he fought not just for himself, but for every underdog who had ever been bullied like him. As the fight started going in Jimmy's favor, Miles became more desperate. Some of his friends tried to join in, but Andy and Bobby stood firm, showing they weren't scared anymore. They were ready to support Jimmy no matter what. The tension grew, but in the end, Jimmy and his friends beat Miles, forcing him to give up. After the fight, Jimmy stepped forward and told Miles to stop the violence not just against him and his friends, but against everyone at school. Miles stared back coldly, showing no regret. From a distance, Mr. Action watched quietly, smiling with pride. To him, Jimmy hadn't just won a fight, he had found back his courage, confidence, and dignity. Mr. Action noticed that even though Jimmy had become stronger, he still had the same kind heart, a part of himself Jimmy hadn't fully realized yet. People watching the fight recorded it, and the video quickly went viral on social media. Soon, it caught the attention of many, including a local news station. The fight was special not just because it was intense, but because it showed courage, one student brave enough to stand up against years of bullying and unfairness.